Hello friends, welcome to Live Traveling. Today we'll see
Puebla Mexico Complete Travel Guide. Things to do. Puebla Mexico, blessed with exuberant Renaissance and Baroque architecture. Puebla is a World Heritage City on a grid of streets laid out in 1531. This parcel of land, ringed by gargantuan stratovolcanoes, was picked by Mexico's early colonists as a midway point between Veracruz on the Gulf and Mexico City. The historic center is bursting with colonial-era churches, like the Baroque masterpiece the Capilla del Rosario. Two colonial mansions contain the Museo Amparo, one of the country's superior museums, documenting 4,500 years of Mexico's history. Puebla has its own colorful pottery style, known as talavera, and is also the place where the sweet and spicy mole poblano sauce was invented. 1. Museo Amparo. Up there with Mexico's most prestigious museums, the Museo Amparo chronicles the history of Mexico from 2500 BC to today. The museum is in two colonial complexes with a modern annex, an apt setting for a journey through the nation's past. Many of the artifacts were curated throughout the 20th century by the entrepreneur Manuel Espinosa Iglesias. The pre-Hispanic collections are vast and have steels, ceramics, everyday utensils, sculptures and altars from a host of civilizations, including the Mayans, Olmecs, Aztecs and Mixtecs, but also the Totonacs, Teotihuacans, Huastecs and Zapotecs. The displays offer some extra context by pointing out what was happening in the rest of the world while these cultures were flourishing. They are also presented by theme and not culture, so if you're curious about pre-Columbian history, you'll come away with a complete picture. 2. Capilla del Rosario in the Templo de Santo Domingo is a chapel that is held as the pinnacle of the new Spanish Baroque. After it was finished in 1690, the Capilla del Rosario was even touted as an eighth wonder of the world. Almost every surface of this barrel-vaulted chapel is covered in stucco, molded in bewilderingly complicated patterns, and trimmed with gold leaf. Ensconced in the decoration are polychrome images of saints, while the altar holds the statue of Our Lady of the Rosary in a baldachin under Solomonic columns. The walls of the chapel have Baroque paintings evoking the nativity scenes, Annunciation, Visitation, Birth of Jesus, Adoration of the Magi, Presentation and Christ among the Doctors. Below these works, the walls are clad with colorful tiles made in Puebla using the talavera technique. 3. Cathedral. Begun in 1575 and finished in 1690, Puebla's cathedral is part of the World Heritage Site encompassing the city's historic center. The building is in the Herrerian style, at the transition between Renaissance and Baroque, and abounds with high-quality wood carving, goldsmithery, painting, liturgical artifacts and stonework. The magnificent main altar, Altar of the Kings, is the burial site of a number of Puebla's bishops and was designed by the 18th century neoclassical architect and sculptor Manuel Tolsa. Above this, in the Dome of the Apse, is a glorious tempera painting from 1688 by the Baroque artist Cristobal de Villalpando. Representing the triumph of the Eucharist, it's one of the few tempera paintings preserved in Mexico. 4. Zócalo de Puebla. Essentially the place where the city was founded in 1531, the Zócalo is Puebla's central plaza. The cathedral is on the south side of the square, while to the north is the Palacio Municipal, City Hall, which is on the shoulder of a delightful shopping arcade, the Paseo del Ayuntamiento. On three sides the colonial-style houses and municipal buildings are arcaded, and most of the private properties are restaurants. You could start the day at a restaurant watching the square come to life over breakfast. Between the palms, cypresses and formal gardens on the square are balloon sellers and shoe shiners, and at the center is a Baroque fountain from 1777. 5. International Museum of the Baroque. This new museum is all about the Baroque, the style of art, architecture and music that defined much of the 17th and 18th centuries in Europe and the New World. The museum building was designed by Pritzker Prize winner, Toyo Ito, taking inspiration from Baroque notions of movement, the contrast of light and shade, chiaroscuro, and the relationship between man and nature. Don't expect stacks of Baroque art and artifacts, as the museum is more conceptual, exploring the religious origins, Counter-Reformation, philosophy and driving forces behind the Baroque movement. There are studies of Baroque wonders like St. Peter's Basilica in Rome, Bavaria's Ottoburn Abbey and Puebla's own Capilla del Rosario. Also interesting is the model of Puebla as it would have looked in its Baroque heyday in 1754. 6. Fuertes de Loreto y Guadalupe protecting the old center atop the Acuimetepec Hill are two 19th century forts from the time of the Second French Intervention in Mexico, 1861 to 1867. These are named after the Virgin of Loreto and the Virgin of Guadalupe, harking back to the hermitages that had been founded at this location in the 16th century. They saw action in the Battle of Puebla in 1862 when they successfully helped defend the city against the French army. The story of that battle is recounted at the museum inside the Fort of Guadalupe, while both buildings are stocked with weapons, documents, portraits, and uniform from that time. The park at Acuimetepec deserves a stroll and has panoramic views of Puebla. 7. Biblioteca Palafoxiana established in 1646. The Biblioteca Palafoxiana was colonial Mexico's first public library, and may well be the oldest in the entire Americas. In one long hall with crossvaults in its ceiling are carved wooden shelves, 3 stories high, laden with 41,000 books, manuscripts and documents like original maps from the days of the conquistador Hernán Cortés in the 16th century. The library was founded by Juan de Palafox y Mendoza, the illegitimate son of Aragonese nobility, who joined the clergy and rose to become Bishop of Puebla from 1640 to 1655. Some of the many volumes are out on display. Due to the great age of the library, scholars now need to apply for permits to be able to study in Biblioteca Palafoxiana. 8. Estrella de Puebla in Puebla de Zaragoza, to the west of downtown Puebla, is a complex that incorporates the Parque Lineal, the Ecoparque Metropolitano and the Jardin del Arte. The Angelopolis Lifestyle Center here is the largest mall in the city, with more than 150 shops. But the star of the show is the Estrella de Puebla, officially the largest portable observation wheel in the world. Put up in 2013, this Ferris wheel is 80 meters high, and will take 20 minutes to complete a rotation in one of its sealed gondolas. If you want to push the boat out, you can ride in one of 4 luxury gondolas, which have glass floors and leather seats. In clear weather, the natural landmarks to pick out are the Malinche volcano to the northeast and Iztaccíhuatl and Popocatépetl volcanoes in the west. 9. Parian Market. The San Roque Square northeast of the Zócalo dates to 1805 and in 1961 was turned into a permanent arts and crafts market. More than just a place to do some souvenir shopping, the Parian Market is somewhere to get in touch with Puebla's traditional know-how. There are dozens of stalls selling Talavera pottery, and Puebla is one of only 5 places in Mexico, 4 of which are in the state of Puebla, where these ceramics can be produced authentically. So if you buy something, you'll be taking a piece of Puebla home with you. Among the other crafts sold at the Parian Market are leather goods, textiles, candles, pewter, copperwork, and puppets. Follow up with a visit to the adjoining Barrio del Artista, Artist Quarter, which has galleries, art shops, and cafes. 10. Iglesia de Santa María Tonantzintla. Minutes west of the center of Puebla, in the municipality of San Andrés Cholula, is a colonial-era church in an extraordinary folk Baroque style, mixing the indigenous with Catholic traditions. The Iglesia de Santa María Tonantzintla was built in stages from the 16th century to the 19th century, and its Franciscan clergy gave free rein to its newly evangelized indigenous congregation to decorate the interior. The result is a massive polychrome sculpture of faces, fruits, flowers, and plants, with not a centimeter left bare. If you wanted to count the multitude of faces on the ceiling, you would be here for days. As for the meaning, it could be a glorification of the Virgin Mary, but may also be the sky of Tlaloc, the Aztec god of rain. In which case that sea of faces wouldn't belong to angels, but victims of drowning and lightning bolts reincarnated in the sky.
Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, subscribe.